with here. 2012 Chevy Silverado. 5.3 in it or 6.2? 5.3. We've got a P0301 and a P0300, of course. Most of our misfires are number 1, and I don't know if you can see that, but our green trace is our secondary pickup wrapped around the plug wire there. And then we got our amp clamp on injector A 20 amp fuse, and we're getting our primary and our secondary. Not sure if you can see that, but I can. Let me show you number, what are we on there? Number 1. So let's take a look at number 3. See what it looks like in comparison. And we had misfires on several other cylinders as well. Alright, let's see what we got here. We are on a, just so you know, a 2-volt scale on trace 1, which is our yellow trace, or inverted just because I got my amp clamp on wrong like usual. And then 20 kV ignition probe. We're on our ignition probe setup. Filtered, of course, and then 2 millisecond screen for the 20 kV scale to get that secondary capture. Let's go ahead and take a look at this, see what this number 3 cylinder looks like. Zoom in on that. Oop, come back out again a little bit here. So I don't know if you can see that, the difference there at idle. Let's see, let me come out a little bit more. I might have to increase my scale here so you can see it a little better. Come out to, let's go to a 60 kV scale. Stop, zoom. Yeah, there. Should be able to see that a little bit better now. Zoom in on that. Alright. So we'll bring this up. Again, here's our primary. This is our secondary. Oh, that might be too much. Hold on. Come back down to a 30 kV. Alright. Zoom in on this guy right here. Alright. So there's our secondary capture on cylinder number 2. Back to number 1. That one. So see that turbulence in there, right? That is in our burn time. So let's swap those spark plugs and see if the pattern moves with it. So that's what I believe we have as a secondary issue. So wait 1 second. All right. I guess before we do that, we'll do a quick clear flood and let you guys listen to it. Sounds good to me. Definitely not a compression problem or a mechanical problem. Alright, since we got it up, let's take a look at some misfire data real quick. And you can see we have our miss history down there. Cylinders 2, 4, and 6, and 8 had a few misfires. You can see we had a lot of misfires on cylinder 1 and quite a few on cylinder 7. You can see cylinder 7 is missing, as well as cylinder 1. Okay. 7 and 1. Consistently misfiring on the current counters. Yes, I'm aware of the carboning of rings, so we'll keep that in mind. Also got to remember 1 and 7 are AFM cylinders. And that's you know, your active fuel management cylinders, so something to keep in mind. But we're at idle right now. Just observing, it looks like it's got original plugs and wires in it, so that's an observation that, you know. Let's see here, what do we want to do next? We're going to swap plugs, right? Why is my brain not working right now? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to swap them. So, let's do that. Alright. Just going to swap out number 1 with number 3. Spin these a little bit. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's the easiest way to do it on a Chevy. In my opinion. Teach their own though. Like they say, there's multiple ways to beat up a cat. Run it over with the car. Throw it in a sack, throw it in a river. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, I like cats. Alright. Let's take a look. Uh-oh. A lot of weight. This thing's burning oil. Yep, burning oil. Oh boy. That's not good. Time to soak the cylinders down with some BG or some top end. I might have spoke too soon. Let's update this valve cover right away. Put the updated valve cover on it. Oh, come on. Of course I run it, so it's piping hot. There we go. Alright. I don't even know what the mileage is on this thing. I didn't even look, to be honest with you guys. Kind of doing things backwards today. Just in one of the moods. I'm in one of them moods. But we're still going to swap them. But, you know, are we dealing with a fouled plug because of oil burning? Alright, let's see what this one looks like. Yeah.
Does Nate like a piece of butterscotch or a
Oh, Paul, you are my butterscotch, Paul. When you came over here and asked me if I wanted some butterscotch, Paul, I was like, you are my butterscotch.
Butterscotch pudding.
Oh, I'll give you some butterscotch pudding. Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you, Paul. Ooh, is that a mint?
Yeah, well, no, it's a candy cane mint.
It's kind of like the mints I leave on your sister's pillow when I'm done. I am.
Yeah, but that's good. You're that good humor anyway.
Yeah, that is good humor, Paul.
Yep.
That's what makes life worth living.
Like you're gonna keep messing up the sink or making mess of me the sink because I got one on top of you there.
Paul, I am a mess.
But you know, he's still the same way. He doesn't speak to me or nothing.
Well, that's not good.
No, just because last May, you know, and he still doesn't wake up out of that.
Some people never change, Paul.
No, like that one song. Some people never change, song from the 90s.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, like.
All a guy can do is get in his 93 Camaro, put on his white suit, and go down to Miami.
Oh, like
Some Miami Vice, baby.
Right. You know that show called Kenan Thompson? He has a new show on. Is it today or is it Tuesday or something?
Yeah.
But he's on that show as well. John Johnson's on that show. Kenan, the half-hour show, 7:30, 7 o'clock.
Oh, you're just a wealth of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
TV guy.
I watched the beginning, but I don't.
TV guy don't have nothing on you, Paul.
You know. Sometimes the TV guide's even wrong.
Oh, TV guides are always wrong.
They go for 2 weeks at a time, but sometimes it's not even on. Well, it says new in the book, but on TV, on the DVR, it says it's a weekly.
Right. All right, well, we're going to see if this misfire moves. All right. Okay. This thing is still recording. Well, hey, while you're in here, you want to fire it up? Thank you. See if our number one misfire moved. Oh boy, sure did not. Sure did not. Oh, yes it did.
With it, or
oh,
said coming out of 4-wheel drive, it just kind of acts up. But
there it is. There it is. Yeah, we got fouled spark plugs.
okay.
She's burning some oil, man. All right. So clearly we have a plug problem, right? That was that turbulence we were seeing. So, is she probably burning some oil? Well, she's got 149,000 on it. I looked at that. So, yeah, probably burning some oil. I guess I could recommend doing I could recommend doing that service on the rings. Just let them know, it's probably bypassing a little bit. Is what it is. Or just throw a set of plugs and wires in it and call it a day. But I'm pretty confident that the plug fouled out just from mileage. And, of course it's going to burn a little oil. I mean, it's a Chevy. Let's just be clear here. So, and it all depends on what kind of oil they've been running. If you're not running Dexos, that's a big deal. So let's get some captures on, well, really, we don't need to get captures. You already know, right? Just by moving the plug. Cylinder 7 is also counting up. Well, you can see now too, like cylinder 3 has kind of stopped counting. Oh, there it is. A couple on there now. So 7's another problem child. Like I said, 1 and 7 are your shutdown cylinders on this bank 1. What'll happen is there's an update for the oil pressure relief valve that lives in the oil pan that a lot of guys should know about, but there's a deflector that you're supposed to put on there. And that prevents it from slinging oil up onto the bottom of the piston on number 7 and causing a compression problem. Okay, I forgot where I was at. So here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna recommend doing a Valvoline GDI or induction and injection service. This thing's got 149K on it, and we'll advise the customer that we believe it's burning a little bit of oil. Oh, when was its last oil change? I'm looking at the history here, guys. Well, it wasn't here because the last time it got an oil change here was at 126,000 and we're at 149,000. So hopefully they've been putting Dexos in it. So let me check the oil level real quick. We'll do that. I mean, it's going to get an oil change with it. I'm going to highly recommend one. So Valvoline, we do Valvoline here, BG or any GM top tier, whatever induction service you want to do. That should help It should help quite a bit, actually. I've had pretty good success with it without, you know, doing where you actually pull the spark plugs out, dump it in the hole, let it sit overnight, come back in, blow it all out, and then, you know, rotate the cylinders over to loosen up the deposits on the rings. I guess we got to find out how much they've been consuming and if they've been running Dexos or not. Nevertheless, my recommendation is going to be to do an induction, injector service, some plugs and wires, and an oil change, and ship it. And it'll probably be just fine. Not probably, it will. Let's take a look at that oil level. Alright, that ain't low. Don't smell like fuel. At least nothing out of the ordinary. Yeah. Yeah, oil cooler lines are leaking. Time for a couple both sets of belts. Oh, tranny lines are leaking. Yep. Valve covers are surprisingly dry. That looks good. This oil pan puked out. Not too bad. No, yeah. Them oil cooler lines are puked. I better double check the front here. Oh. Surprisingly dry. Will be. Oh, is that all coming from? It's gotta all be coming from the cooler lines. Yeah, it's coming from the cooler. Alright, well, we'll let them know about that. Why do I see some oil on the back side of that head? Is that oil? It is not. Okay. Alright. Very good. Alright. Can number 1 of our intake cleaner. Running her through the throttle body. Like that, Paul. Don't even get done before you go. You know, you gotta make it last. I don't remember. I heard it from the big thing. To make do what we can do. You know, you never forget it, and they'll love you forever. Oh, you bet they'll love you forever. Words of wisdom from Paul Meyer. They always like to take the money. Alright. Keep on trucking. Alright. Let's figure out how we're going to disable this fuel because this induction service is pretty much done. We got a VIN 753, so I got to figure out which fuse I got to pull to disable our fuel pump. So we're just going to find our fuel pump. It's not that one. That one is the, if it has multiple tanks, which this doesn't. Let's see here. Fuel pump, trailer, brake control module with integrated brake. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna disable our fuel pump trailer, this module up by the spare. We're gonna disable it by taking its battery positive away, which is gonna be this one right here, which is our FSCM fuse 21, 20 amp underhood fuse block. So let's find that. So it's still running the induction service. I'm just gonna let it run as long as I possibly can, because even though I induce it at 70 psi, it'll still pull up in the intake. Then of course we'll have to take it for a good 15-minute test drive to burn out the rest. The stuff continues to work long after the actual service. So let's see here, FSCM fuse 20 amp, fuse 21, there it is, 20 amp, and here it's a 25 amp, fuse 21, where are ya? Oh geez, there it is, right up there. Okay, so this is 25 amp right here. We're gonna pluck it. Got my fuse puller here. That'll disable our fuel. And the way you know these are done is when you shake it, you'll see little drops, you know, coming out through the sight glass where it goes in. And you'll also see your pressure drop on both gauges. So I know the tank's empty. So we're just gonna shut her down and then disconnect that connector, reconnect this intake. We'll reconnect the intake pipe to the throttle body, take that off, and then we just got to disconnect fuel here. We'll cycle key, confirm that we do have fuel disabled once we pull our fuse, and then we just hook into the rail and add our injection. We'll add our fuel rail cleaner, and we'll run our fuel service. That takes the longest. We'll just run it till it dies, and then once all that's done, start doing our plugs and wires, okay? Alright, so let's disconnect this. Disconnect the air. We're going to open up the relief valve here. Oh. There we go. We'll disconnect this. And shut our valve. And then fill our tank. Let's go ahead and plug this fuse right away. Alright, fuse is out. And naturally, my phone's about to die when I'm starting to make a video, so I'd plug it in. It's Thursday, guys. You know what that means? I don't. Business is kind of slowed down. I don't know if everyone's waiting for their tax money or what, but it's kind of slowed down a little bit, which is unusual because usually I stay pretty busy. It'll pick back up again. It'll be slammed in no time. Pretty sure that's the guy I need. And let's see, I've already disabled our fuel, so grab a rag and then we'll disconnect the fuel here. Yeah. She's gonna spurt. She's gonna spurt a little bit. grab a disconnect tool. Now I'll have to dial that regulator up to the fuel pressure. Usually these Chevys, you know, 60 to 65 psi is more than enough. Let me grab a rig. Alright. You do Fords and other models, you know, it can get a little trickier, but GMs are pretty easy. Alright, come on. Oh, grabbed the wrong one. Yes. Alright. Let's get this thing disconnected. Now the key is to get fuel everywhere. Oh, maybe not. Oh, yes I did. Alright. Let her blow into the rag. Now before you go starting it, before you go starting it, you might want to spray her down with some water, just in case. And of course, I dropped my tool back in there, naturally. Oh boy, don't fall back there, don't fall back there. Oh, it burns, it burns. Oh, hot. Ooh, hot. Alright, it hit the floor. Okay. Alright. Oh. Alright. Hook this up. Okay. Okay. Alright, she's dialed into about 65. Well, like I said, you might want to rinse her down with some water. I think we'll go ahead and do that. Don't get water in your supply to the rail, obviously. Just in case we have like an ignition arc or something, you never know, and it's safe. So I keep the water handy just in case. So let me go grab an assistant and make sure we don't got fuel coming out. We'll have him cycle the key. Paul, can you come here and cycle this key to on for me? Alright.
What now?
Just cycle the key to on, Paul. Don't crank it.
Ready?
Yep, go ahead. Oh yeah. Alright, go ahead and start it, Paul. Alright, thanks, Paul. That's good. Oh, fire her back up. Just let her run. Thank you.
I was asking for it and said after they run, but you must not heard me.
Nope, that's fine. That'll work. Thank you.
Yep.
Alright, we're running on the injection cleaner now. Okay. Dial this back a little bit. Alright, she's done. She died. So, slap some spark plugs in this guy, huh? Put our fuse back in for our fuel pump control module. Okay. And then I'm going to start tearing and getting all the plugs and wires done, okay? I'm not going to film that, guys. If you don't know how to do plugs and wires on the Chevy V8, you might not want to quit your day job. Alright, so, alright, I don't know where I left off, but plugs and wires are in, okay? Running nothing but for plugs, Napa for the wires. Now when you put these wires on, I put a little dab of dielectric here. I do not put dielectric on the other side that goes to the coil, because otherwise it ain't gonna stick on the coil, guys. Here's the plugs that came out. You can see all the crap on them. That's from the induction service. That's why I wait till after. Make sure you let your block or your engine block cool down to room temp before you start torquing your plugs in. 11 foot-pounds. Run a thin coat of dielectric on the threads, torque them in, good to go. Now, I just started it for the first time after running the induction. Again, this is our secondary and our primary on bank one, driver's side, right? This is going to be all of our injectors. The yellow trace here is, you see these smaller ones? Those are the injector current ramps, okay? For bank one, as well as the primaries for all the bank one coils, okay? So again, this is the turbulence we had from that bad spark plug, okay? So now we're gonna check. Our spark plug. You know, we're gonna check with the new spark plugs and new wires on it. And I'm gonna let this thing run for a little bit, burn out all the crap, because it's gonna run a little rough. It's still got stuff in the intake, but I'm gonna let it run for a little bit, okay? Alright, sorry to cut it short, guys. I had to get going. We have to get this show on the road. I gotta get out of here. It's just 5 o'clock. I gotta pick my daughter up from daycare. So there is our after capture on cylinder 1. You can see there's a significant difference in our secondary. That is a good secondary on a Chevy V8. Alright, that's what it looks like, guys, at idle. Not snap throttle, at idle, with its primary. Alright, so obviously there's no turbulence in there anymore. I know this is fixed, okay? If we go to our misfire counters, alright, and take a look here. I have not cleared codes yet, so you're still going to see misfire history in here, okay? But you're not seeing the active counts on any of the cylinders anymore, and it's running nice and smooth. Now, something to keep in mind is when you run these induction services, okay, they'll misfire usually on the back 2 cylinders, 7 and 8, a little bit at idle, because it'll run a little rough until it burns all that crap out. We still gotta clean. I still gotta clear all the codes out, and we'll do that after our drive. And then once we've cleared codes, we'll reset our fuel trims. We'll do a crank variation relearn, reset our idle. Okay. We added this to the fuel system. This is the other part of the service, okay? And then you need to advise the customer to fill the tank, all right? Don't even bother looking at your trims because they're gonna be skewed due to the additive. And as we're, and there's still gonna be remnants of that cleaner inside of the intake, okay? So your fuel trims are gonna be negative, all right? Now she's gonna smoke when you start taking her down the road, so don't be stomping on it. You don't have to stomp on these to finish off the service. Just a nice smooth 10 to 15 minute drive. Don't get crazy with it, okay? And it'll just do the rest of the work on those valves and on those rings, all right? And the stuff works pretty dang good on these Chevys, from my experience. Now, if you get one that's a little extreme, you might have to go the other route, like the TSB says, and where you pull your spark plugs, you pour either a BG service or a top tier service, the actual GM AC Delco top tier engine cleaner in there, and I usually let them soak overnight. And then I'll come in the morning, roll the engine over by hand with all the spark plugs out, of course, and then and then crank it over to blow the rest of the crap out, blow it out with some compressed air, pop your new plugs in, put on your new wires, and you're good to go, okay? On everything, you can see in our permanent codes, we've still got our, we got these lean codes. Again, these are stored codes because of when we were running the induction service. So now what we want to do, they'll go away once they pass. We're going to functional tests. Module setup, idle relearn. Continue. That's because we cleaned out the throttle body. So we'll reset that. Okay. And we'll cycle our key off. Turn it back on. Go back. Output controls. We're going to reset our fuel trims. Okay. And we'll reset our fuel comp too. And because we're going to advise them to fill the tank, so it'll be all right. Let's go ahead and reset that. All right. I'll come back out. Turn her off. Turn it on. Start it up. We're going to let it run for a few minutes here. Well, if you let the idle stabilize. Hit continue. And what I'm in here now is the crank variation relearn. And what we're going to do is we're going to let it sit here and idle. You can see our idle's at what, 600 and, it's going to bounce around a little bit. It takes GMs a while to relearn their idle. All right, that should be good. All right, push pedal down, brake pedal down, and just give her wide open. All right, relearn successful, exit. Turn the key off. Fire it back up. Okay. And then you tell your customer, you're gonna have to fill the gas tank, fill the fuel tank all the way up, because we added the additive, and run it. Run it. It'll take about, probably a full tank of gas to finish the process of cleaning the valves and cleaning the, basically all that stuff in the intake is going to sit in there, and it's just going to slowly work its magic on the valves and the rings, and and then this additive continues the process on the injectors. Okay. Let's take a quick peek at engine. We'll go to data, take a peek at our misfire data. Now all of our history for misfire should be gone. It should be all zeros now because we cleared the mode 6. Yep. And no misfires. We got a couple on 8. Don't worry about that. If you see that after doing these induction services, that's okay. All it is it's just going to run every now and then. You're going to get a little bit of a fish bite at idle, and that's because of that induction service, okay? But you can see now we don't have that consistent misfire on number 1 counting up, or on number 7. Okay, so I'm okay with it. It's not going to set a P0300. It's not going to set a 301. It's fixed. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.